Okay, you should have already done your bell work. Today's lesson, we are going to be doing linear versus nonlinear, and then there will be a Canvas assignment at the end. What you should do is you should open up Canvas, and you will see this Pear Deck presentation is in Canvas, and you are going to follow along. There's going to be some interactive multiple choice things, and so you need to make sure that you're following along with the lesson and answering the questions. Some you can write on and some you can't. So the objective today is that you will be able to identify linear, which means constant, and nonlinear, which means variable, varying from graphs and tables. We will know we have it when we get 80% or higher on today's Canvas assignment. This one is interactive. Split these 8 graphs into 2 categories. So you can use that by maybe using 2 different colors and decide what your categories would be. So go ahead and we'll take about a minute for you to do that. Again, you might use 2 colors. Okay, let's see if you are thinking the same thing I was thinking. Actually, before we do that, why don't you turn and discuss with your neighbor, the person sitting right next to you, and see if you guys chose the same one. So you can go ahead and discuss. Okay, now let's see if you guys had the same answer that I had. These are the categories that I split them into. So, of course, the things on the left could be made with a ruler, just one line with a ruler. And then these items on the right, you would have to pick up your pencil or you would not be able to use a ruler. And so the lines on the left, we use the word linear. The way I remember it is linear has the word line in it. And then the word non is the same as the word not. It means not. So not a line. Yes, this one has a line here, but it's changing directions. So even though it looks like they probably did use a ruler, it's not one consistent or constant line. It changes direction, it varies. Okay, so if the slope of a line is constant, constant means it happens over and over. It's that word consistent. It is linear. And if the slope of a line varies, it is non-linear or not linear, not a line. So we're going to need to know those words constant and varies because we're going to keep seeing that throughout all of today's lesson. Okay, so this graph shows a function. Is it linear or non-linear? So go ahead and select on your multiple choice. And you should have selected non-linear. Let's do another one. Go to your next slide. Is this linear or non-linear? This one is linear. It's constant. So one thing to check is we know rise over run slope. If we plot the dots on this, right, there's a dot here, and we keep going, and there's a dot here. There's only 2 dots, but I'm sure if our graph extended, we would see it's constant or consistent, and another dot would be somewhere up here. They would be evenly spaced. Okay, go to your next slide. Is this function linear or nonlinear? And we picked nonlinear. Next slide. The graph shows a function. Is this linear or nonlinear? This would be nonlinear. First of all, it's not even connected. And if it was, it wouldn't be straight. It wouldn't be made with a ruler. It's not a straight line. Okay? This one, is it linear or nonlinear? So if we think about it, linear means a line and it's constant. Are these consistently spaced apart? Yes. Go to your next slide. We're on slide 11. Okay, this is, you can't draw on this one, so you're going to watch me do this. This is, we're going back to a table. Okay, so graph part, very, very easy. For the table, right, we need to be able to say if it's linear or nonlinear. And so if it's linear, we can write an equation. With this, we do have to check though, okay? So on this, this is different from the lesson we've been doing the past few days. The past few days, I've already told you that they'll create an equation, so that's why we've done one. Today, we have to first figure out, can it even create an equation? And so for it to be linear, it'll make an equation, but nonlinear, we can't do an equation. How many times can Miss Allen say equation in 1 minute? A lot. So with this, linear means constant. And so we would assume then that means the slope will be the same. So let's go and get down to business. We're going to go from 0 to 2. We can use our number line or count on our fingers. We go 1, 2, so that's 2 spaces. From 2 to 3, we go 1 space. And then from 3 to 9, we go 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That was 6 spaces. Now we're not done. Don't get ahead of yourselves. 0 to 1, that's 1 space. 1 to 2, that's 1 space. 2 to 3, that's 1 space. We're going to find the slope for each of these points. From point to point, we're going to find the slope. For it to be linear, we should have the same slope. For nonlinear, we will have different slopes. Okay? Let's recall, slope is y over x. So we'll go y on top, the x next to it on bottom. That's one slope. Between these points, y on top, slope on bottom. Now we could stop here because we didn't get 1/2 both times. We didn't get the same slope, so we can know right away it's nonlinear, but I'll just finish out the problem. We do y, which is 1 over x, which is 6. So we actually have 3 different slopes. So that makes this a nonlinear, which means we can't write an equation. You'll get the hang of it. Okay, so this one you can write on. Right now, let's first start, just find your figures here. And we do have to test all of them because I'm telling you this could or could not be linear. So we have to find out the difference for all. Okay, go ahead and do that. You should be on slide 12. Okay, we should have gotten on the y side 4, 4, and 4. Well, that's good that those are all the same number. Over on the x side, 1, 1, 1. Okay, if I go create my slope, it's nice that they're all the same number. So we just have 4 over 1. 4 over 1 and 4 over 1. So it's constant. It's consistently a slope of 4 for this table. So it's linear. We're going to write the equation in y equals mx plus b. Our m is our slope. You just found is 4. How do we find the b from a table? The b is the y-intercept. Do you remember all y-intercepts had in common? They all started with 0. So they start with 0, whatever number's next to them, that means b is 0 here. So our equation should be y equals 4x plus 0. Would you go graph? This is nothing new to us. We're just keeping this skill fresh in our brain. We've been doing this for 2 weeks. Go ahead and graph. Okay, you should have done your b first. That's at the origin. And then we try to make slope a fraction. I'm going to go in my elevator up, and I'm going to go up 4 floors. And I'm going to go over 1, and then we'll make a line. Okay, let's go to our next slide. This slide has a lot of words. This is if you need to go back to the steps. So I'm not going to read it to you or anything like that. This is if you forget for some reason, you can come back to slide 13. Okay, let's go on to the next one. You can draw anywhere on this slide. So you'll circle A, B, C, or D. Your job right now is to find out what are these numbers. Do these all have the same slope? So we'll do about 1 minute. Okay, 19 to 10 is -9. 10 to 1 is -9. So I like that those are both the same numbers. 11 to 12 is 1, and 12 to 13 is 1. Well, these are all the same numbers going down each side. So a lot of you could have stopped there. But if you didn't, you would have gone y on top over 1. So -9 over 1 is your first slope. And your second slope is -9 over 1. So we know they have the same slope. Our options could not be C or D, but then you have to decide which word describes linear. Is linear about things that are varying, or is linear about things that are constant? You should have circled B. Linear and varying don't go together, so that's honestly not even an option. Okay, let's go to slide 15. Go ahead and figure out you should be working on slide 15. Okay, from 18 to 10 is -8. From 10 to 7 is -3. I don't like that those aren't the same numbers, but I'm going to keep going. 6 to 7 is 1. 7 to 8 is 1. So we'll just check the slope. Y goes on top over x. So -8 over 1 is my first slope. And then my second slope is -3 over 1. Those are not the same slope. So we know it definitely can't be linear. Then you have to decide, nonlinear, does that mean it's varying or does nonlinear mean constant? You should have said C, varying. Let's go to slide 16. Okay, from 7 to 9, you should have said 2. From 9 to 16, we should have said 7. Oh, I don't like that those aren't the same. 3 to 4 is 1. 4 to 5 is 1. We should have said 2 over 1 is my first slope, and 7 over 1 is my second slope. So those are different, which means it would not create a line if I graphed those. And what word belongs with nonlinear? C, varying. We have 2 more. You're doing great. We're going to pick up the pace. Go ahead and answer the question on slide 17. Okay, you should have said 13 to 14 was 1. 14 to 15 was 1. I like that those are the same. 3 to 4 is 1. 4 to 5 is the 1. Oh, this is looking great. 1 over 1 and 1 over 1. Those are the same, so I know it has to be linear. And the only word that describes linear is be constant. Go to slide number 18. I feel like you gotta be good and quick at it, right? 6 to 14, that is gonna be 8. 14 to 17 is 3. I don't like that those aren't the same. 9 to 10 is 1. 10 to 11 is 1. The slope for my first point is 8 over 1. And my slope for my second point is 3 over 1. The only reasonable answer is C. It is not linear. So if I graphed it, it would not be a line because it's got varying slopes. What you're going to do at this time is you're going to move the little icon down here, the little person, and you are going to rate yourself. Remember, today's goal was you will be able to identify linear slope and nonlinear slopes from graphs and tables. So move your person accordingly. With our remaining time, you do have a Canvas assignment here. I just want to remind you that some of you I know did not finish yesterday's assignment or Monday's. And so for Monday's assignment, you had 2 attempts on both of Monday's assignments. For yesterday's assignment, you had 2 attempts. So if your grade is not a 100% on your first attempt, you do need to go redo those. If you happen to score lower for some reason, it will keep your highest score, so it cannot hurt you to try again. Today's, though, there is only one attempt. So first time around, let's go for at least a 5 out of 6. When you are done, you know what options you have for early finishing, and Chromebook free time is not one of them. So I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.